the who is happening all over. I heard one part time. I don't know. My notes are over here. There's a very long title here and where she's from, so I always have to read this off. I have the this is April 18th. This is April 18th.
Wayne State University.
Yes, here we are. She's the Economic Development Specialist for the Center of Urban Studies at Wayne State University. Now you can understand why my memory, I can't rely on that. And Mary's going to talk and tell us all about the revitalization study that we've all been real anxious and real excited about. Mary? Is it me? There we go. Well, thank you, Angie, for that nice introduction. I was asked to speak on Tuesday to the Wayne Rotary Club, and I was introduced as a czarist for the Commercial Revitalization Initiative. And so that's a little bit of step down, but that's okay. I told my boss about it, and he certainly appreciated that. The Commercial Revitalization Initiative is a project of a number of organizations, including the Center for Urban Studies at Wayne State University, the Michigan Department of Commerce, and our pipeline, Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, SEMCOG, and the other involved party, although not a partner at this time, is the Michigan Retailers Association. In fact, we'll be meeting with Larry Meyer on Monday and talking about this process, and hopefully we can get their involvement as well. The Commercial Revitalization Initiative project began about a year or so ago, and our pipeline and through their economic development efforts have been involved in a number of communities, particularly in the Midwest, and have done this type of project for downtown and downtown revitalization. They contacted the Center for Urban Studies to produce two manuals. One is on community preparedness for commercial revitalization, and the second is on strategic planning for commercial revitalization. From that, the project team got together and said, let's put together a pilot site and not only test out these two manuals and this approach, but let's bring in a number of partners to see if we can really make an impact. There were a number of communities that were considered. There were about 10, and then we narrowed the list down to 2. John Zeck presented and represented the city of Wayne at one of our meetings. We were looking at need. What is the evidence of need in the commercial district? What is the physical condition of the commercial stock? And is there evidence of any deterioration? We were also looking at something that had a reasonable scale. Was it doable, and could we do it in about a year? What is potential for success? Are there institutions and organizations that are already addressing commercial revitalization? And we saw that certainly that was evident here in the city of Wayne, particularly with the Chamber of Commerce, a number of organizations, including the city, that momentum had already started, so we were pleased to see that. Also, we were looking at the level of preparedness. Was there some type of consensus to go through this commercial revitalization initiative? And again, we saw that here. We were also looking for relatively discrete site. Was it within a particular government jurisdiction so that we could work with these people? And also, was the size such that we felt that we could make an impact? And again, Wayne met all those criteria. We began last fall with putting together a steering committee. Donna asked me to make sure that I explain in a little bit greater detail some of these terms that we use. I see a couple familiar faces out in the audience this afternoon, those members of our steering committee. One of the terms that we use, and the first thing that we explored at one of these meetings, is who are the stakeholders? And that means who are the groups or who are the individuals who can either help influence this process of commercial revitalization, or who are the groups or individuals who would be influenced by it. We sat down with John. We wanted to make sure that it was a good representation of the community and a cross-section. It includes merchants, it includes the Chamber of Commerce, it includes city memberships, it includes residents, real estate. I think there are some landlords, civic organizations, professional organizations, and many of these people represented more than one sector. There are about 30 people in the steering committee. One of the first things we did, in addition to listing who the stakeholders are, is what are the goals for the process? What do we hope to achieve? That was our first meeting, and some of the feedback was, this feels like I'm back in school again. I've never read so much in my life. I don't understand this. Is this a very academic model? And the answer to that question, of course, is no. Strategic planning has been used in corporate America for many, many years and very successfully. It's only been recent that strategic planning has been used in the government, the public sector, as well as for nonprofit organizations. In fact, the Center for Urban Studies at Wayne State is working with a neighborhood organization that's involved in development and trying to stabilize the housing values. So it's also working there with that organization as well. What we hope to accomplish through this commercial revitalization is a consensus building, and that is for you to get involved, not as us as consultants, because that's not our role. Our role here, is in the project team role, is as facilitators and moderators to assist you. If we give you a plan and it sits on the shelf and collects dust, that doesn't do you any good. So it's important that you buy into it. It's important that you understand what we hope to achieve, or what you hope to achieve. So it isn't the plan for the Center for Urban Studies, it isn't a plan for the Michigan Department of Commerce at A&R or SEMCOG. It has to be your plan. Otherwise, we'll give it to you and you'll say, well, that's fine, but we don't understand it. We don't buy into it. You have to understand it. You have to feel as though your efforts can make a difference so that you can do the implementation, so that you are able to monitor your progress and evaluate it. Hubert Humphrey once said, instead of worrying about the future, let us labor to create it. And I used that at one of the steering committee sessions, and I put it up on a tear sheet. And in thinking about it a little bit more, I thought about the word labor. He didn't say it was going to be easy. Labor involves hard work. It's not easy for many people who are raised in the city of Wayne, who remember it before urban renewal, who have fond memories of their childhood downtown, and being unhappy perhaps with it now. It's not going to be easy to bring about a change, but you have to work together. You have to have a shared vision. That's one of the things that we attempted to do through the steering committee meetings, is we tried to identify what are the internal strengths and weaknesses and what are the external threats and opportunities. The steering committee also put together two scenarios. One which said, what is our alternative future? If we are to realize all that we want to become, and dream big, but it has to be in reality, what will it look like? There were ideas of first floor retail, second floor professional, third level residential. There were a number of ideas. Shuttle buses, additional festivals, creating places for socialization for people who come to the town to sit down on a park bench, to interact with one another. They saw a vibrant community where stores were open, where there were people bustling. They also put together another scenario, and it was real tough. It was really, really tough for people to say, based upon, and I have to be very careful too about saying trends too, based upon what's been happening, where will the commercial district be like in 5 years from now? It was tough for people to say, I see more vacancies. I see this affecting home values. I see blight. I see vandalism. I see people moving out. I see more disinvestment. Store windows would be boarded up. It was very, very difficult for people who have invested so much time to say these things. But it was important to put together two different scenarios. One that said all that we might become if we work together, and the other one that says, what is the alternative based upon what's currently happening? We tried to create some tension there, and we saw that. Right now, at this stage, we have worked through, the steering committee has met for six times, and we've now broken up into task forces. Those task forces had come out of, well, they're addressing 6 separate issues. Those issues had come out of what we call the SWOT analysis, and that is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, as well as those alternative and the current scenario pictures. And I'll read those to you. The first one is on traffic and parking and how that impacts the downtown. Appearance and design, operations and management assistance. That came out of the belief from the steering committee members that business people need additional technical expertise and assistance in managing their business operations. Image and promotion. Although much is being done in the area of image and promotion, there is still much that can be done. And also involving not only, because we know that the DDA has a lot of money, one of the important considerations there too is that it has to have a public and private investment. So not only public monies, but we have to have private monies there as well. To what extent is that happening, or is it only happening with a few businesses? Business mix and economics. Are there complementary businesses? How has vacancy affected that? Is there pedestrian traffic? And the last one is organization. As I read these are in no particular order. What organization says, is there already an organization in place, or are there already several organizations in place who have the capacity and the ability to carry through this revitalization effort? Or will a new one need to be created? To take a look at that, and what is their representation? Is there representation just the city? Is there representation a broad spectrum? So we need to take that into consideration, because after we get done with this, will come the implementation. And this group or these groups have to have the capacity to carry through with it. And they also need to know what's commitment they need to make as far as time, commitment, monetary resources, etc. One of the things that we're doing right now within the task force is identifying additional stakeholders that we can bring in. These people include representatives from Ford Motor Company, historic organizations, representatives from the State Department of Commerce, representatives from the county, universities, real estate, both commercial and residential, SCORE, which is a Service Corps of Retired Executives, and consultants. Those are just some of the people that we want to bring into these task forces. Those people that have the technical expertise to assist, as well as those steering committee members who can also assist because they have real passion for these particular types of topics, or they might have experience in them. In closing, Your role will be very important as a community. This process we were looking for is to take about a year. What we see in the next couple of months is after the task forces get done meeting, we will then put together a document. And as I said before, it's important that this just doesn't sit and collect dust. It has to be dynamic. It can't be static. And that is, changes occur all the time. Our environment is very, very dynamic. And these changes must be incorporated within this strategic plan for commercial revitalization. So your role is to become involved, buy into the process, and see this through. There is no one of the things that we're asked to is, what will the future of the city of Wayne hold for downtowns? And that's something that we can't answer right now. One of the things that, or a couple of the things that we're doing to try to answer that question is to put together a market analysis. And that'll be based on several surveys that either have gone into the field or will be going into the field next week. We began last night with a resident survey. Those residents are selected at random, and we'll ask them about their shopping patterns, where they purchase certain items of merchandise. If they shop in Wayne, what they like about it, what they don't like about it. For those people who don't shop in the city of Wayne, what improvements could be made that would entice them to shop downtown. We're also putting together a merchant survey, and that'll be interesting as well, because we'll be asking the residents many of the same questions as we're asking the merchants. So what is your perception as merchants based upon the perception of your potential customers? So we can also follow that. We're also putting together a sidewalk intercept survey. We will have interviewers within at the Center for Urban Studies at Wayne State University. We have 7 different programs, one of which is a survey and evaluation services program. That's a group of professionals who do these type of surveys. They'll have students who have been trained in these surveys, and we'll have them at certain corners. I think it's on Thursday, Friday, particularly Friday evening, and all day Saturday, and this is next week. And we'll be asking shoppers where they had come from. Did you come from work? If it was on a Thursday or Friday. Did you come from school? Did you come from home? How long do you plan on being here? What stores are you going to visit? And also some other more narrative type of questions to try to get a handle on what they like, to try to establish some type of rapport and dyad with these people. So that's where the project is moving so far. One of the other components, too, if some of you recall, when we made a presentation to the City Council, was a facade conceptualization. And that is, we were able to take a print, scan it into a computer, put it up on the screen, and make changes to it. We can make architectural changes. We can show what a tree would look like and how it would grow in 5 years, and whether it would block the awning and the signage. That particular component has been moving a little bit slower in that we're looking for donations and some contributions. But we still hope to bring that about and put that in place too, so that you can realize your dream. Thank you. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mary. Talking about these meetings and how much hard work they are and all of that, and going through them, I agree, but it's all
about easy reach of any community within the state. We have 3 chapters in the state.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
The newest is in Traverse City, a very active group in Traverse City. The Detroit chapter, which is housed primarily in our building, has, I believe, 190 counselors at the moment. And we also have satellite offices throughout the state located in chambers of commerce that can provide counseling assistance out in the local communities. Another way that we can assist is with the Small Business Development Center program. I did have a listing of the centers that are in existence, but that existence is in question right now because of the governor's cuts to the Community Growth Alliance program. $1 million of state money was funneled through the CGAs to the SBDC program. Because that money is no longer available, $1 million in federal money is no longer available. So the program loses a little in excess of $2 million to the program. We're in the process of evaluating our options. Those centers that can maintain their local match are looking to other sources, and so the program is really in a state of flux right now. We are hopeful that the state will see its way to somehow fund this center. Last fiscal year, the centers in aggregate counseled on the order of 25,000 small business owners in the state of Michigan, providing, I'm probably going to get this wrong, I believe it was on the order of 55,000 hours of counseling and training provided to small businesses. This program has been in existence in the state since 1983. There's an SBDC network of centers in every state in the union right now. So we like to see this program continue. For every federal dollar that is injected into the program, we generate $3 from private and other sources. So it's highly leveraged, your tax dollars at work. Yes, sir.
Are these centers and is SCORE just primarily for existing businesses, or would you sit down with somebody that says, I like this idea to go into this business, does it make sense?
Good question. We will help those people in business or those who wish to open their own business. A nice function that SCORE can provide is to, well, you can tell somebody, go out and write a business plan. You can help them, or they can help them with various aspects of the business plan, from conception all the way through, help them critique it, identify weak areas that need to be addressed. They will not do the work for them, but they'll tell them where they can go for the information. It's very important that the person understand the business plan, just as in a loan application, they understand the loan application themselves. It's valuable sometimes to have an accountant put the package together. If the business owner does not understand the dynamic of that proposal, the dynamics of his business, he's destined to failure in most cases. We try to help them understand that whatever their needs are, we can probably fill it. We're tied into a vast number of resources throughout the state. Another facet of our assistance is the Small Business Institute program. This is a program that's conducted through four-year universities who have a business or school of business, school of management. And what it is a team approach where they utilize graduate students and senior level business students to attack a business problem, do some work over a term or maybe 2 terms, identify the problem, identify some viable solutions in the context of that particular business, and issue the business a written report of their findings and recommendations at the end of that period of time. It costs the business owner nothing. SBA reimburses the universities at $400 per case. It's a very successful program. We find that the students are more than enthusiastic, with a chance to get away from the theory and get into some practice, into an actual business problem. The business owner's involvement is that he's only asked that he work with them and be very upfront in the information he's providing, because it's all held in confidentiality, as all of our counseling programs are. We have 13 schools in the state right now that are SBI schools. Locally, we have Wayne State, Lawrence Technological Institute, I'm so used to saying LIT. Let's see what else we have in the local area. It escapes me right now. Those are 2 of the main colleges that we rely upon. Wayne State, for example, does 50 cases a year in SBI. SBA also has special emphasis in the areas of women in business. We recognize that, depending on what source you quote, women businesses are forming at the rate of something like 5 times their male counterparts. They have become a very important element in the economy, in the small business community. One program that we currently have, which is a pilot project really, is the Excel program. Got the fact sheet right here, and I'll briefly describe it. It uses an innovative new training model to fast-track women business owners into greater growth and profitability. draws together several proven business diagnostic and training modules to use in a targeted two-track training structure. Basically, it's startup track and the existing business track. The co-sponsors of the program, among others, are Deloitte and Touche, National Association of Women Business Owners, Detroit YWCA, and the Small Business Administration. For those who might be interested in the program, there's a contact person on the fact sheet at Deloitte and Touche that you can call for more information. Another area of emphasis to the agency is that of veterans, particularly, in this case, Vietnam-era veterans. We have run a program, and I noticed some of the brochures on the program in the back, for the last 5 years. Target for Success. This is a program that we put on annually, targeted for veterans to address special needs and concerns of veterans that are going into business or are currently in business. Again, it's structured in a kind of a two-tier approach, pre-business and existing business, and we do have modules addressing various aspects of interest to current small business owners. For example, business planning, cash flow analysis, accounting and record keeping, and export opportunities. Which leads me into our next area of special emphasis, which is international trade. We're very concerned that small businesses, in fact most businesses in the United States, do not recognize that they're in a global economy. I'm sure you've all read something to that effect in the papers. I'm also the District International Trade Officer for SBA, and my main job is to know who the resources are in the state that can really help a small business who wants to take a look at exporting and get involved in exporting. I have some limited expertise. I can do some introductory counseling to determine where in the process a particular business is at, and then come up with some recommendations. There are various tools that are available. We utilize one software program called CORE, which stands for Company Readiness to Export. It was developed at MSU, and it takes about 20 minutes to participate in the program. Essentially, it's just questions about a particular business that are fed into the computer. It compares these answers to a database of statistics and trends in the export field and comes up with a numerical rating, which is, okay, great, I rated 65. What does that mean? The program goes further and identifies strengths and weaknesses in the context of exporting. It's by no means a go-ahead or a stop sign for a small business, but it does give service providers like myself an idea of where they're at and then where they should go to proceed for more help. We also fund, by the way, a small business development center that specializes in assistance to small businesses in the area of international trade. It is located at Michigan State University. It's called the Michigan International Business Development Center. Their primary function is to provide long-term in-depth counseling to those small businesses that want to go international or are taking a look at going international. It's a new program. It's been in existence since May. We do have a former trade specialist from the U.S. Department of Commerce that heads up the operations, the counseling aspect of the program. They also have a Troy Center, extension center, if you will, for counseling for businesses in the Detroit area. And again, if you'd like to access any of these services, you can give me a call and I can steer you in the right direction. One area of emphasis that is coming up, or is here actually, the Persian Gulf. We're very interested in assessing in communities what the impact of the Persian Gulf War has on the small business community. We're interested also in identifying those small business owners who have been directly affected. For example, the owner is over in Persian Gulf right now, or a key person in that business's organization is over in the Persian Gulf. These businesses may need help. Oftentimes, the small business is left to be operated by the spouse. The spouse may need help, whoever he or she is. So, SCORE is very interested in providing assistance to these people, these small businesses, and so is SBA. And I'd like to call upon you all, if you can, to identify any small businesses that you feel are in this particular situation, to have them give our office a call and provide some help immediately. Other than that, that is basically my presentation. I brought along a lot of materials describing various programs, and please help yourself. Are there any questions? Well, I did another excellent job.